It's a little bit of a chilly and windy day in Utah, which means perfect for outdoor projects, right?
Yeah, that's why we like to do it.
We're gonna be taking this vintage Vanity and turning it into 2 nightstands.
Normally, this is the spot in the video where I tear into the project with some power tools, but I think I can do most of it with a couple of screwdrivers. I don't think this part is original. It probably had a mirror at some point. A lot of times the mirrors get broken, and so they just end up putting something wood like this on the back. Alright, so the drawer that was on the front on this, that's fake. It's not a real drawer. We got a couple of supports and some tiny nails right here. And I think a little bit of glue and persuasion with the hammer and we'll get these off. This is a piece of the backer that used to be in the middle of these 2 pieces, and I have this gap since I took that detail piece off the back, so I'm just going to use this to fill that. Part has probably gotten wet or something at some point and it's bubbled up. I've got some 1/2-inch staples loaded up in here and I'm just going to staple it down along the edge where the support is. All right, now we're on step 87. We've got a cute pair of matching nightstands, right? But we've got this situation here that we can't be having. He's over here eating bonbons.
Yeah, I live a life of leisure. I'm processing this giant pallet for JamiRayVintageHome.com.
All-purpose Bondo putty, my favorite furniture repair putty if I have to use something that I'm not staining. I'm mixing up a fairly large portion, lots of cream hardener on this, because I'm gonna have to fill quite a few holes here. And now we wait about 15 minutes for the Bondo to cure up and we'll sand it and make it look better again. It's been about 20 minutes, the Bondo's cured up. Normally I would just sand this with 220 grit, but this is a pretty large area to sand. Usually I just fix a small divot or a corner that's been chipped off. So I'm gonna start out with 80 grit sandpaper and then I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with 220 grit to get it a nice smooth finish.
First, I'm going to mix up the paint, which is 1 part paint to 1 part warm water. I like to make mine a little bit thicker than it calls for. Okay, when I'm mixing up milk paint and I'm going to use salt wash, I just mix it all up at once. I'm just going to add a scoop of the salt wash here. I'm just going to mix up the salt wash and paint. Make sure to wear a mask when you're doing this so you don't get any powder in case it flicks up. Yeah, it's pretty watery, huh?
Yeah, add another thing.
All right, another scoop. It should be thick like frosting. So if it's not, you need to add more salt wash. Milk paint is thinner than DIY paint, so it might take a little bit to get this to the right consistency. When it starts to look like delicious, thick frosting, then you know you're getting there. Zeb says this situation is about correct in consistency.
You want it to stand up pretty much like sideways on its own.
Salt wash is perfect for a project like this. Anytime you have Bondo, sometimes you'll have areas where you can see where the Bondo work was done. This is gonna cover that up and hide any of those blemishes in there. When you're using the salt wash, make sure to do stiff peaks And then once it dries about halfway, you're gonna come down and knock those peaks off. Once it's dry completely, it'll be ready for the second coat. You can pick up the paint and products, including saltwash and farmhouse finishes, at jamirayvintage.com.
At this point, you can kind of see it's starting to change colors as it dries. It's getting this lighter shade here. That's when you come through and you knock down those big peaks so they aren't sharp. And a lot of people ask, is that rough or is it gonna be hard to clean? Once we distress this and sand this and put the final coat of paint on, it actually is really smooth to the touch. And when we wax them, we don't have any issues. Like, it's just really nice, even finish.
It's got a texture, it's just not chunky.
Stick with us, folks. It gets worse before it gets better, always, always.
This is good.
Actually, I really like the green and the black together.
I feel like it looks like Oscar the Grouch painted it.
It's got a really good foresty feel to it and that I'm loving right now. With the texture, it's spot on.
For the top coat, we're using farmhouse finishes and light cream. It's gonna take 2 coats to get full coverage. This color will look really good with the base colors underneath when we sand it. It kind of like melds everything together. It got kind of dark with the black, and this light cream is gonna lighten it all back up. I feel like it's the secret ingredient to my secret ingredient soup. With this color, we're also gonna paint the back so it all matches.
So we are painting with the drawers in. We wanted the finish to match. Once we're done, I'll show you how I get those drawers out and finish those up so that they slide real nice. I'm going to show you how I get the drawers out once they're painted in. Usually just give them a little bang. If that doesn't work, I can take a razor knife around the edge, but it almost always works. So you can see right here, I got kind of a little bit of a gray color going on from the black paint that was in there mixing in. I'm gonna brush that off because I don't have an air hose here. And then a lot of that gray will go away. That way when I wax it, I'm not getting the muddled colors. It'll be a little more crisp.
All right, so these have a little bit of texture left, but the farmhouse finishes will sand really smooth. And so other than the fact that we got it kind of brush strokey, the spots where we sanded that farmhouse finishes is like buttery smooth. These are awesome. I mean, like, I think everything we do is cool, but these are really cool.
Some projects definitely turn out better than others. And for what this was, a vanity without a mirror that was too short to be a desk, like, it's much better as 2 nightstands or end tables.
And plus bonus, they're no longer in the basement.
Yeah.
Which we need all that storage space possible. There must have been like something on this before. I'm getting some blue.
You're getting some blue? Well, I'm getting some white. So I'll do a little bit of this one
Swap.
and you do a little bit of that
there.
one. And then they'll match. Because there's stuff on our wax brush.
We should probably clean those.
Who's got time for that?
Not me.
We're basically giving it an antiquing glaze.
That's right, we didn't even plan it. I love that the farmhouse finishes still will crackle, especially if you use a heat gun, because there's some good crackle on this too. Did you get any chippy with it, or is it just chippy because of the salt wash?
I think it's just chippy because of the salt wash. I didn't really get any chipping, except for like a couple places where I dinged it carrying it outside.
Authentic battle damage.
Authentic. Do you guys remember a while back we hit like 5 thrift stores in a day and we hit up Habitat for Humanity and we got some cast iron drawer pulls. These fit perfectly. I didn't even have to drill new holes. So the question is, are they supposed to look like you saved them from a fire? The answer is yes. Yes, they are.
It doesn't look like a fire. It looks like they've been in Europe for like 60 years and there's just been some age and patina and grudge that I used to think that I couldn't replicate, but now I know I can.
Gotta figure it out.
It's the good chippy. I love the new handles too. It gives them kind of that industrial vibe.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys are hitting up JamiRayVintage.com if you want a project that's gonna look like this or one that's not, because we realize that not everybody loves this and we sell all kinds of things. If you're interested in purchasing these nightstands, they're gonna be listed at JamiRayVintageHome.com, which is where we have all of our home decor and painted furniture. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more
DIY.